Yapa. What's it better? She was log the
and the informational world. Our physical world includes, the cars we ride, the buildings, the architectural designs of our bridges and roads. All these make the physical world. I'm talking about the informational world. They are tangible things, they are the intangible things that cannot be seen with our naked eyes. And, we go to movies, ideas, knowledge, the folk tales, and stories we tell our kids. All these are over the year made our informational world. Now, what am I trying to come by with? Often, it is not an uncommon experience for human to be immersed in the informational world. For example, you will bear me witness, those of us that uses headsets to listen to music. There are times we will get so emotional to the music we are listening to. For instance, you close your eyes and you started singing loud, and then not even minding of your environment. So our informational world, or the virtual world, so to say, they can completely take us away from our physical world. So they can completely help us, or they can completely take us away, help make us to create an abstraction of our physical world. So the same thing happens in cinemas, in movies. So when we are watching movies, especially 3D movies, so we get so immersed completely that we tend to move along with the movie. We tend to interact with the objects in the movie. And the same thing happens when we are lost at reading books we love, like storybooks and all that. So we at times someone calls you, you don't even hear because you are lost in the story. So those are different ways that human beings are being naturally immersed into their virtual world. But nowadays, the advent of technology is giving us a new way by which we can now get immersed into the virtual world. Now, in our physical world, we don't need anything. We don't need any overlay to see our physical world. You don't need anything to see the car. You can see them. The buildings are big enough. We can hear the sound from the car. We can hear this and that. Now, but when our physical world, our direct perception of our physical world is being mediated by a computer, or let me say by digital devices, then we are saying certain things had augmented our sight of our physical, or our physical perception of our environment. Now, I can now say that augmented reality can be defined as a computer-mediated perception of our physical world or our physical environment. And this can be done, maybe I have a picture of a computer here and an headset which help us create certain experiences. Augmented reality is a new technology that involves the overlay of computer graphics on the real world. An interactive experience of a real-world environment, or an object that reside in the real world that are enhanced by computer-generated perceptual information. Now, what am I saying with this text? Like, when you see your world, the physical environment, a building, a physical object, a tangible object that can be touched, that can be felt. Now, you want to look beyond, you want information that goes beyond just that physical object. Then computer can help us generate a 3D models or a 3D graphics of information. Now, what we are seeing just this side on the left-hand side of the screen, sorry, the right-hand side of the screen is, the globe. The globe is there anywhere, but there is an augmented reality program on the tablet that when you point it on the map of Paris, it shows the Tower of Eiffel. So that tower that is coming up is a computer mediated image of the physical world. Augmented reality can help us to extend our sensory modalities, which include what we see, what we hear, haptic, somatosensory, which deals with pressure, and smell, what we smell. Now, we can touch, it extends like beyond what we can touch physically. Now, let me give an example. An augmented reality program can give us an overlay of information of geoinformatic information. Now, geoinformatic information, they are physical properties of our environment, but we can't see longitude and latitude with our naked eye. But when we pass them through a computer, the computer can help us to sense that object and bring out those information for our sight. Now, still talking about augmented reality, for a program for a program or an app to be called an augmented reality, it must be able to fulfill these three basic features. Number one, it must be able to combine real world with virtual world. Both, there must be a real object that the application is trying to visualize. Now, another thing is that there must be real-time interaction. Not that you touch or maybe you press, like as you are seeing on the screen. You can see that as the user is sliding through the face of the tablet, the image of the heart is also rotating. So there must be real-time interaction, and it will create the experience as if you are interacting with the object directly. Also, there must be an accurate 3D registration of the virtual and real objects. Now, let me still use that tablet to explain. What you see there is called an augmented book. Now, on the book, the only thing that you can see there is the picture of a mammalian heart, but not in 3D, of course. Now, so those 2D images is what is being projected by the augmented reality app to give a sense like this is what it looks like. And you can also feel it by touching and by enlarging or by reducing. So this thing, there must be a real-time interaction, and the rendition of the object must be very, very accurate. Now, talking about virtual reality on the other hand, in virtual reality, the environment is completely simulated. There is no need for a physical thing there. So nothing is physical. Everything is simulated. We are going to see example of simulated environment, maybe in the next slide. Now, and the user is completely immersed into the simulated environment. Like you feel like just an active player in an unreal world, and whatever you do there, like whatever you can do in real world is the same you can do in that world that is virtual. There is real-time interaction with the simulated environment. You can also interact. You can pick an object in the simulated environment. You can run, you can move, you can, you can kick, everything that you do physically can also be done in that environment. And all of your sense organs are simulated. Every of our sense organ, including smell, hearing, the sight, everything were completely simulated. And then one of the peculiarity of virtual reality is that there is the use of head-mounted display, the HMD. as you can see on the screen. So you have to block yourself from the physical world, and then you enter the virtual world. Now, you will be saying, how is this thing possible? Yes, it is very possible. Just imagine you want to take soldiers on, you want to teach them the heart of like what happens at the war field. You know, it's a very dangerous scenario. It's a very dangerous thing to just say, okay, student, oh, let me take you to the war. No, virtual reality can actually create that experience for your learner. It can create it, and they will still be, they will feel like it was war. Okay, so please, I'm going to play a video after this slide. You can kindly tune down the volume of your device if it is too high. And if you are using your headset, you can please just take it out a bit, but I'll try as much as possible to control the audio volume. Okay, now what we've just seen in that short clip, we can see the two students sitting on the left hand side of the screen, and they are wearing the headset. Now, you can see them physically like, they are just sitting on a chair. But in the virtual world, they are on the train that is moving on the track. It is creating the sound as if they were in the train. When the train had to jump the track, they also feel the experience, and you can see one of the students screaming. Okay, that is what virtual reality does, and it's quite different from what augmented reality. They don't have to visit a physical train track to have that experience, but rather, the whole experience can be simulated while they were sitting in their classroom or in the comfort of their rooms. Okay, now let me try to demarcate between the two. We have the physical reality, which deals with what we can see, what we can observe with our naked eyes. And we have the virtual world, which is a complete rendition of a computer-generated environment. Okay, the virtual world is a complete simulation, as you can see here. Now, in these two continuum, where we have the physical reality on one end and virtual reality on the other end, augmented reality can be said to be a stop or a point in between these two continuum. That is, you may have 10% of physical reality and 90% of virtual reality. It still produce augmented reality. Or you have 5% of virtual reality, 95% of augmented reality. Any of these scenarios will still amount to us having augmented realities. Now, let's talk about the types of augmented reality. Well, I'm going to typify this and also based on the cost of development. The first is marker-based augmented reality. The second is markerless augmented reality. And the third is augmented vision. So when we're talking about the cost, the cheapest is marker-based augmented reality. So it is very easy to deploy, and the cost of deploying it is cheaper than any other type. Now, let's try to explain each of these. When we're talking about the marker-based augmented reality, it tracks and detects the physical objects before providing information about it. What the application does at this point is to first recognize, so what is this thing? Okay, is this a cup? Oh, this is a bottle of water. So it first recognizes that object and then provides any information that has been stored about that object to it. Now, these kind of solutions are used for advertisements. In recent times, companies, just they don't want to attach prices or price tag to maybe their clothes or their wares. So all you need to do is just get the augmented reality app, just scan your phone on the product. It brings about the specification of the product and also the price tag of the product. So the solution first look at the product, identify the product, then brings out information about the product. So the same is used in augmented games, in mobile devices for navigation, search, and gaming, and also in augmented book, as we can see on the screen. And I said these are very, very cheap to deploy. Now, let's talk about the other type of reality. Now, this combines real-time GPS, camera, and compass information to identify the surrounding and overlay selectable real-time information. Now, what I'm having here is what is called the rotor lens. Now, the rotor lens is just like a device that these bikers use. People that ride bicycle, it's like a glass. It's a wearable device like a glass that they put on. Now, as they are riding, it's overlay information despite seeing the road. It gives them their speedometer, their BPM, their rotation per minute, and all that. It gives them certain information. Sorry, I'm going to play this short video now to see further about the lens. Now, that is the lens. Okay, so it gives the speedometer for, as you are riding, you can see your front, and then it's showing the speedometer. The speedometer, we can calculate the speedometer by knowing the GPS difference, the longitude and the latitude. So those in mathematics can do that. So it's calculate the speedometer, the BPM of the rider, and all that. So that information is displayed just like in front of them in a glass. Okay. Now, let's look at the third type, which is the augmented vision. Well, augmented vision requires an headset, but this kind of headset is different from that used in virtual reality. Okay, in augmented vision, it combines multiple sensors to achieve enhanced experience. And this, if you remember the continuum I mentioned the other time, I would say this makes use of more of virtual reality and little of physical reality. Now, we can see sensors like the accelerometer, the gyroscope, the magnetometer, the pressure, motion, dial cells. All of these things can be censored, and the haptics. So all of these data are gotten from each of these sensors, and those data are used to process an enhanced experience for the user. Okay, and this is the most expensive type of augmented realities. Now, let's talk about the architecture of a typical augmented reality system. Remember, I explained the other time that augmented reality is the computer-mediated perception of our physical world. Now, I will represent my augmented reality with this blue box. I'll call this blue box, the whole of this blue box, my augmented reality application. Now, if this is my augmented reality application, what are those things that are inside? Now, we shall be, by the grace of God, we'll be talking more about this in our forthcoming conference, when we'll be trying to develop an augmented reality application. Now, what are those things in an augmented reality application? The first is sensor. You have your sensors. Now, there are two categories of sensors. The first are pure sensors, sensors that capture physical properties of our environment with that are not visible to our naked eyes. Like I said, the GPS, the accelerometer. So they are readily available, but we can't see them, okay, physically. Then another type of sensor is the real world capturer, which is a video camera. You know, it is what you see is what you get in our videos. So you have the viewfinder that gives you the preview of what is being captured. And also the sound, use of microphone. Microphone only enhance the quality of the sound, the audibility of the sound. But the sound, they are things that can be captured by our normal sense organs. Now, after that is what we call the content analyzer. The content analyzer tracks and organizes objects. So data from the content analyzer is passed on to the MEHAR execution engine, which is mixed augmented reality. Okay, so in the MEHAR execution engine, that is where the body of your programs reside. Like you have written series of codes to check. Now, if the object that is identified by the sensor and has been analyzed, if it is passed through to your execution engine wants to check if that object is identified by your code. You want to see if the data passed equates the data you have programmed equates the one from your sensor. And then that is the hub. And most of the time, we build our execution engine to connect data from the external sources. For example, the rendition. So, you know, most of these are devices, though they are very fast, they have the speed, but they are limited in capabilities, knowing your own device. So you can't rely on all of these devices to give you everything you want. So at times you may still need to work with external server to get you assets and to help you do some simulation and then return back to the user via the display. The display are in two parts. We have the display and the user interface. The user interface allows the user to interact with the program, while the display gives the processed image of our physical world. Okay. Now, justification for including AR in education. Why should we? The very first reason that excites me about augmented reality is that it helps to teach and evaluate the most difficult domain of learning, which is the affective domain. No, it's been a challenge for educators to measure feelings, to measure emotion, and even attitudes. So those things are challenging. What with AR, come on, you can actually measure each of these conveniently. It gives an experiential learning. It's not like learning is not in reported speech. And for example, uh, augmented reality can transport, you know, it can help learner to make sense of what geography textbook is talking about Mount Kilimanjaro without even going to Tanzania. So you can actually see this is how it feels to climb Kilimanjaro just from the pages of your book. And also distance education. In distance education, augmented reality can help to create sense of belonging for distance learner. You know, over time, there have been these discrepancies between learners in distance education and those in face-to-face. No, there is this sense of belonging that is not there for those in distance education. But with augmented reality, this scenario can actually be simulated. They can be in their office and use their devices as if they were in the classroom. Learners can be fully engaged, and then there is learner activeness like never before. The learner is completely active in augmented reality. Now, we have the learning centeredness. Okay, it is learning centered, not learner centered. Now, augmented reality, the development, of an augmented reality comes from a conscious development of a learning experience. No, you try to put the learning experience together, which can go for any types of learner. In the past, we have moved teaching from teacher-centeredness to learner-centeredness. And in learner-centeredness, we say, okay, every learner they have to be, the lecture have to, but this is learning center. You are developing learning, like you want to create objects for learning. So it is learning centered and not learner centered. So, and that can go for every types of learner, irrespective of their peculiarities. Okay. Right. Using augmented reality in any classroom settings. Now, augmented reality can be deployed in any of our classroom settings using any classroom models of instructional design. Gustafson and Branch 2002 have helped us to demystify the concept of instructional design, and he was able to typify the instructional design models into classroom product and system-oriented models. So I have here 4 of those models as mentioned by Gustafson and Branch: the Gellert Eli model, the Ashore model, the Newby's Typic, Lehman and Russell model, Morrison, Rose, and Kemp model. Okay, so I'm going to use the Ashore model in this case, just to explain how these things can be included or can be applied in our classroom teaching and learning. Now, using the Ashore model stands for the first A is analyze learner characteristics, state the learning objectives, state or modify or design the material, utilize the material, require learner response, then evaluate. And that was propounded by Hennig, Molenda, Russell, and Smaldino in 1999. Now, first, you need to analyze the learner. Who are the learners? What are their tech level? At times, I am of the opinion, I'm a strong believer in TPAC model, where technological pedagogical knowledge is very, very important. The level of the learner should be able to tell us what kind of technology we want to deploy. And most AR applications are available in tabs and a computer system, a laptop, for instance. Now, when you want to use this, I'm very sure you won't want to deploy that at maybe reception or KG2, KG3 students or KG1 pupils. So you want to do it at a more advanced, where they can relate with the technology. Okay, and then you need to state your objective. What do you intend to achieve? What do you intend? And then in the statement of our objective, we were always encouraged to go beyond the level of knowledge and recall. Okay, now then strategize the strategy and the technology you want to deploy. At times, the cost of developing an augmented reality is high, no doubt. And then the time it takes to develop it is also it takes a while, okay? But as instructional designers or educational technology experts and teachers, there are diverse authoring tools that can help us to create something. For example, when you want to create an augmented book, it can take you about maybe about 20 hours or so to develop an augmented book. So it's not something you just jump into. You have to prepare for it. Now, at times, what you are teaching, there are certain repository that where you can download the already prepared, things that have been prepared by other educators. So you can go there and check if what you want to teach had been developed before. Okay. Now, in case of limited devices, maybe you have 20 students and you only have 10 devices, you can group your learner. You can group them in a group of two or just, you know, and I always advise when you have 10 devices, don't group, and you have 20 students, don't group into 10 groups because you need to reserve some. Okay, so you can make use of 8 while you keep 2. In case if there is fault, you can easily replace. Okay, so then prepare the learning experience, create the learning experience. I define, or I used to explain learning experience as like taking a student on a journey. Prepare those kind of excitement you want to bring in. Now, before we utilize the tech, it is very important to prepare the learner. Don't just bring the device to the class and the learners are just there. They don't know what to do with it. So you need to prepare them. Tell them what you want to use augmented reality for. Tell them what you expect them, the learning outcomes. Tell them the minimum you expect them to be able to do at the end of it. Okay. Then also require their participation. And in this kind of scenario, so we can let the learner take control, let them take charge of their learning, while we just stand as the guide or as a facilitator. So in this case, what your own activity as a teacher is reduced minimally, and it is reduced to that of a facilitator that goes around and assists those who need your assistance. Then at the end of it all, you can evaluate your learners. And I always advise, don't stop at the level of evaluation. There is no perfect application in the world. After your evaluation, make sure you get the outcome of that evaluation to revise and update the application. And it's so funny today that many of us in the field of educational technology, after our thesis, the effect of XYZ on student performance, that is the end. So when we get the effect, we don't go back to improve whatever package we have developed. We just stop there and we publish, and that is the end. Okay, so don't stop at just evaluating. Go ahead and use that information you got from feedback to revise and to update the app. Okay, thank you. I have these as the takeaways where we can find out more on augmented realities. And I must say, this is just like an appetizer towards the upcoming conference. By God's grace, in Oyo, we'll look at ways of creating our own augmented realities. So in the days of the workshop, it's going to be a complete practical and hands-on experience for all participants, where we're going to develop an augmented books and the likes. Thank you so much.
Mr. Olawale Kolidafe, thanks so much for the presentation. First and foremost, there is a question I have from Professor Ayo Aremu. Can you give an example of how AR evaluates affective domain before we ask others to ask questions?
Okay. Now, I really want us, like I said, I was using a show model to see how we can include AR in the classroom. Now, I want us all to observe this model. Oh, sorry, this picture rather. The teacher role now is to be a guide, is to be what's it called? To be a facilitator. Now, when a student is having this experience and is displaying certain emotional feelings, now those things can be accurately observed. At times some screams, some shout, some there's this exclamation, wow, this is nice. Those kind of feelings can be measured, can be evaluated only using AR. When we place the device, let me make an example of an augmented vision now. So when you the learner are completely immersed. No, it gets to the level that they no longer, they can't withhold the emotion to themselves. They have to let it go. So in those ways, augmented reality can actually help us to touch the affective domain, the feelings, because it's the application itself touches the sense organ. When you get to the class and you teach, you only appeal to the sight and to the hearing. No, so when that reacts to touch, that reacts to feelings, it goes a long way, and it's quite a different ball game, and it's different from what we have from in our face-to-face teaching and learning.
Please, I'd like to inform you that for those who are willing to comment the presenter, you can use the chat. If you want to ask question, then use the question and answer, because I can see people are commenting the presenter on the question and answer. That's not the right standard. For your comment, generally on the presentation, you can use the chat platform. As for questions, you can use the question platform. I would like to acknowledge the presence of our elders here, Professor Ebi Awotua Efebo. He has been with us since Tuesday when we started. Professor Ayoremu, we thank you, Ma, for your presence. And Dr. Tayo Beledo, we also thank you for your presence with us. So I will now allow people to, if you want to ask questions, you can either use maybe Mr. Wale will go ahead with the questions. If there are questions on the QE. Okay, so please go ahead and answer. There's a question by Mr. Roshegbe before I ask people.
From Mr. Ahmed Roshegbe, VR and AR, which one has more potential in the classroom for teaching? I can say both. But looking at our reality, the cost of developing a VR application is much more than that of augmented reality. So when we begin to do the cost-benefit analysis, and that which teachers can easily develop their skill in, so AR come first. So, but both have a very good potential for our educational system. Thank you. Then, okay. Can this be used for undergraduate students? Yes, I think it can be used for undergraduate students very well. Then there's another question. The use of AR in the classroom, does it require extra programming or graphics design skills? Yes, I would say. But there are some made easy applications that can help us. The graphics, there are 3D models of diverse things that are available in the open market. Just get there, download them free of charge, and you can make use of it. Can AR work perfectly in large class? Yes, it can, but you have to group your learners, grouping them, and then maybe you want to make it an a la carte thing. So let them use as they like. Someone said, so, what is the cost of implementing?
No, just wait. We are now maybe two people who are there raising up their hand. Mr. Seth, answer from Ghana. So you can address us or mute your microphone. Mr. Answer from Ghana, you can unmute your microphone and then talk to us.
Good evening. Please, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you.
Please, Mr. Presenter, I want to find out whether there is some relationship or the relationship between artificial intelligence and augmented reality. Are they related in any way? Like, the reason I ask this is that is it possible for us to have a robot in the classroom playing the facilitator role as a teacher, and it could be termed as augmented reality? Thank you.
Well, the idea of AI, artificial intelligence, it's another ball game entirely. And I can tell you, AI can be applied in so many things. so many things. So, you know, it depends on what you intend to achieve. You know,
Okay.
these are programming and you can flex your skills. So what do you want to achieve with AI is what you want to look at. You know, you can develop an augmented reality that stores what's it called? Maybe when you point it at a new object, it stores that object. So next time you point the device on that same object, it recalls that I've met this object before. These are the characteristics. No, those are levels of AI that can be done, but it's a very broad question and it depends on how creative one is. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Okay, Mr. Anura Bawa, you can go ahead and talk to us. Anura Bawa, just unmute your microphone.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can
Very
hear you.
loud and clear.
Yes, good evening, sir. Please, I have this question to ask, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, when the presenter said the issue of augmented reality, when a learner is using augmented reality, virtually he will feel immersed because it affects the affective domain. Now, sir, I want to ask a question, whether there is a difference between this augmented reality and virtual reality. That is about that. And another thing is, because yesterday I wanted to say something about what Bridget said from Abuja. Seriously, this association is a very strong one. And in the north here, so to say in Sokoto, we seriously need awareness, not only in Sokoto, but in the northern Nigeria, we seriously need awareness, because I don't see any association in the north that is as strong as this one. The only one I can maybe that can come to my mind is one, international policy review and the development strategy, which is vast because of their age and what have you. Please, I am advising if we can follow avenues through which we can disseminate information and create awareness about this able association, so to say. Thank you, sir.
And you have a part to play in that wise. So Mr. Wale will answer your question. Then Professor Ebi Awota will address us because he has a comment to make regarding the presentation. Yes. Wale, go ahead and answer your question first.
Now, to answer Mr. Bauer, the difference between VR and AR is the amount of virtuality and the amount of physicality present. No, it is something, they were so close, but we can only describe them in a continuum where we have an extreme of physical reality and another extreme virtual reality. In virtual reality, there is zero presence of physical reality, but augmented reality tries so in one way or the other to combine both, to combine the two. So a certain percentage of physical reality and a certain percentage of virtual reality. So that is what I can say as the difference and the similarity between the two. Thank you.
Professor Hebo, please, you can go ahead, unmute your microphone, sir.
Yes, okay, thank you so very much. I find the topic for today very interesting, and I think it's one that every one of us should key into. Although the AR equipment is not so common in Nigeria, but it's getting into Nigeria now. What I'm looking at, if we apply Ganye's 9 steps of instruction, we see how AR applies. And I think it's something that we all need to key into. Ganye talked about the conditions of learning. Here you talk about external and internal. The internal are the things that the learner has already. External are the lessons that you want to introduce or the objective that you want the learner to achieve from the lesson. So if we use augmented reality, it surely falls in there because we tap in, bringing instructional design into it. We tap into what the person knows already and what we want the person to know. You know, when we see things, it's easier for us to relate to them. That's where augmented reality comes handy. And it's very important, especially for those who are in the professional areas. where it involves a lot of doings that people can see, like a classroom teacher. Thank you.
Thanks so much. So please, Professor Aremu, please, can you just, as a panelist, I don't know, the thing is, Professor Aremu. Go ahead, ma. Yes, ma. Prof. Okay, Wale, you can just go ahead and start answering those questions before Prof will join us.
Okay, someone asked, are you saying that we no longer say learner-centeredness, but learning-centeredness? No, I'm not saying that. Learning-centeredness is an emerging concept among instructional designers. You design, and this pertains to creating learning experience, designing learning experience. It's a new field. You can read about learning design, or learning experience design, LXD. So it depends on the context.
So
even as at now, up to this moment, we still have many lecturers that are still applying the teacher-centeredness, the teacher-centered approach. So it depends on what you want to achieve. So it's just giving us an alternative, or let me say, yes, an alternative to what we call the learner-centered. So that is just my take on that.
So Prof, please go ahead, Prof, sir. Don't just with Prof, ma. You can go ahead, ma. Prof, ma.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, ma. You can go ahead, ma.
Okay, let me just remove my mask.
Okay, yes,
Okay.
thanks so much, ma. Yes, ma.
I have actually been on the trying to catch in on what was presented, and I missed a little bit out of it. But I want to say again, congratulations on this webinar and this augmented reality. I think that it's something that we need to explore as educational technologists. I was so glad that the presenter was even able to talk about putting in instructional design models to be able to integrate it. But I know it takes a lot of creativity and technical skills to be able to apply this. And that is why we need all our hands together to work together as these things work that one skill or the other, you together.
Yes.
Educational field.
Yes.
I'm looking at the augmented reality application, especially with our teaching practice as educators, practice of teaching. This AR to ensure that whether in a sim environment, in a virtual environment or whatever, but such a way that one, it will teachers as lecturers now, and it will give the students more practice.
That's true.
Skills that they need to acquire. So I think we need this talking about it to to brainstorm on direction. What do we need to the solutions in the core education
Okay. That's so much, ma. I think, okay. So Wale, you can continue with the, okay. Okay, thanks so much, ma. So Mr. Wale, you can go ahead with the answers.
Okay. Someone said, how can augmented reality be used in a blended learning environment? Well, let me just say that there is no hard and fast rule to using augmented reality. Like Professor Aremu just said, it depends on the creativity of the teacher. So the creativity of the teacher is very, very, very important. Technology will not do anything for us. It's just like the blackboard, the cardboard we've been using in the past. So how we use it is what matters. So I think that answer Mr. Adamutubosun on augmented reality, using it in a blended learning environment. Said, how can I create an AR? Which application do I need? Well, I think subscribe to AITIE in the next conference. We'll tell you a lot about our free tools. However, there are so many open tools that you can use, like Unity 3D and Fuforia plugin. So these two, but that requires a lot of tech skills from you. Okay. Then someone said, can we use to teach education course like management in tertiary institution? Yes, you can do that. You can do that perfectly well. Well, it is great if you're working with a very good instructional designer that can assist you in creating the learning experience. So once the learning experience is well created, you can use augmented reality to simulate anything, and it just depends on the creativity of both you, the teacher, and the person you are working with. Then Rebecca additional asked, what can be done with the students lackadaisical attitude to use of technology in teaching and learning? Hey, well, I don't want to, that is too judgmental about the students, because what we believe about the students of this generation is that they are digital natives, and digital natives embrace technology even more than the teacher. So their lackadaisical attitude, or maybe what you are saying, that is bound to happen. Maybe they are not using it properly. Yes, it's not their fault, it's our fault. How will you give tablet PC to students in your schools and not giving them what they need to learn on it? So they will definitely use it for frolicsome activities, downloading film, playing games. Yes, because we are not engaging them enough. So I think it is now our problem, not the problem of the learners. Okay, then can the AR use for distance learning as a video conferencing? Thank you. Yes, I want to refer you to a movie. The title, The Kingsman Inner Circle. The Kingsman Inner Circle. The augmented reality was used there to conduct a virtual meeting, and it created the experience as if when you are sitting in a board meeting, in a boardroom. People are seated face to. They were not there; they were in different places, but it created the experience as if they were all present in the meeting in the same place. You can see who is sitting in front of you and who is sitting by your side. So please, I will refer you to that. Look at the way the level of creativity, how they have applied augmented reality. I think that can also be done in education. Then, sir, give us example of classroom experience where AR is being used or has been used in Nigeria, and what subject? Well, I don't know, because I'm in University of Ilorin, so I'm not in every school, but I know this is a possibility. I strongly believe that we can also do that in Nigeria. Well, you don't need big devices. A device as simple as a smartphone that has an accelerometer, a camera, and a GPS sensor is just enough to create an augmented reality program, especially an augmented book. Yes, I have created augmented books here in Nigeria just for myself, and I have tried to do some stuff on pages of this popular book, Critical Issues in Educational Technology from the department. So I've done that, and I can play with that in my own comfort zone. So however, the same can be done elsewhere. So I don't know of any yet, and if you know, you can share. Joseph Fayomi asks, I encountered augmented virtuality while reading about the reality of virtuality continuum. Is augmented reality related to augmented virtuality in any way? Yes, it is. It is, but the level of virtuality present in augmented virtuality is much. Now, when I was making my description the other time, I said there is one called augmented invasion, or sorry, augmented vision. So it is also called augmented virtuality. So that tells us that there is more of virtuality than physicality in that particular program. So it's the same, sir. Okay. I think I still have about 10 more questions. All right.
Please,
looking
just wait for just wait a little bit. Let's allow somebody to talk from Abuja and then somebody else. Okay, Dr. Ogunlade, please unmute your microphone. Dr. Ogunlade from Abuja.
Hello, sir.
Okay,
yes, sir.
Go ahead. Yes, yeah. Yes, you are still on. Dr. Ogunlade, you are still on.
Let me quickly. Yes. Let me quickly from your if perfectly handled, it seems it's going to take away responsibility of a teacher. Hello?
Yeah,
can you
yes,
hear me?
Yes, answer his question, Mr. Wale.
It seems as if it is perfect.
Now, if I understand you are asking if it is not well handled, it will take the responsibility of
perfectly used. If it is perfectly used,
yes,
it seems as if it's going to take the responsibility of a teacher, because you talk about the learning centeredness sometimes, and if it is positioned towards the learner, the way I'm seeing it, it will likely take the position of a teacher if it is brilliantly organized. Am I correct?
I'm not going to totally agree with that, because I still strongly believe that technology will not replace the teachers. But teachers who use technology can replace those who don't use it effectively. And those who don't even use it effectively will replace those who don't use it at all. So the effectiveness depends, like we have been saying, on the creativity of the teacher. Okay, so well, it is done perfectly. Yes, the teacher will assume the role of facilitator, the role of like a guide, not someone that wants to enforce the body of knowledge on the learner. So I think that is my answer to your question, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olawale.
So Dr. Oluto Yolashededun, the LOC chairman for Oyo 2020 is online. You can address us, please. Dr. Lashededun. Just unmute your microphone. Yes, you are on. Go ahead. Dr. Lashededun, go ahead. You are on. Yes, go ahead. Your microphone is active. Hello. Yes, we can hear you. Just go ahead, please.
Okay, was now, how do we go about methods to use?
So, doctor, I will advise you, your microphone seems to be bad or the network is not good. Please, can you just use the question and answer platform so that your question can be addressed? So, Dr. Akande, go ahead. Dr. Akande, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can hear you. Can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to take us back a little bit to the issue of the affective domain. The affective domain is a challenge to education in Nigeria, especially. And we have not been able to tame it. We've not been able to master it. And if the affective domain remains missing, we cannot achieve much. We've done well with the cognitive domain and the psychomotor domain, yes, but the affective domain is not tamed. I'm doing some work in the affective domain, and I was happy when Dr. Koledafe mentioned something like that, even though it was brief. I want you, sir, to go back a little bit and talk about the affective domain, how it is related to either the virtual reality or augmented reality, or maybe you want to relate it to the Assure model. However you want to look at it, please, it will help me in my work, especially in terms of how to measure it, how to evaluate, or even how to bring it out in the students. You know, how to address it. It's easy to address the cognitive aspect. It is easy to address the psychomotor aspect. But how do you really address the psychomotor aspect so that you can have definite achievable objective in that area? Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I'm really very grateful for that question. When we are designing application for instructional teaching and learning, there is usually something at the back of our mind that we want to achieve. And in this case, mostly at the end of the lesson, students should be able to do this, to do that. Now, let's begin to start by raising questions about the emotion, the feelings, the attitude, you know, the way the human relation. Okay, so once we ask those questions, it can help us to now create our augmented reality application towards that aspect. Now, I'll give you an instance. Maybe if you go to the YouTube and just search videos of augmented reality application, you see people displaying series of emotions, you know, series of emotions while they were using these very applications. Some shout, some cry, some scream, and a lot of things like that. So, but it depends on the intention of the instructional designer. And let me say this, it's not going to be the work of the instructional designer alone. We need to take teaching and learning more seriously than we used to take it before. If we identify a learning problem, it's not for the teacher alone to solve. No, there are other experts that are needed. You know, when you talk about instructional designer, you talk about programmers, you talk about graphics designer, all these people need to come together to create a solution that can bring about our desired learning outcome. So I think it depends on the question we are asking, on our learning outcomes, or what is called behavioral objective. So what questions are we asking will help us to determine. But what I'm saying is that with augmented reality, it is very, very possible to touch emotion with augmented reality. And studies have been carried out on that. I think in some of my key takeaways, there is a study I got from ResearchGate. I will possibly refer Dr. Akonde to that to get further information about that. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Mr. Suberu, you can talk now from Gombe. Mr. Suberu, go ahead. We don't have time again.
Good evening, Prof.
Mr. Wale.
And other participants there.
Okay.
My contribution about this AR of 18, the presentations I have seen, I have seen the presenter system design Assure model, which she extensively discussed about in relation to augmented reality, and of course a lot of other models. But the question I have is whether for whether the modeling, develop and implement augmented reality. So this is the question, because I have not seen AITIE in the list of the ISD models he has presented, but I'm sure part of the ISD models by Branch Gustafson and Branch 2002, which he provided as a reference material, has the AITIE model. So I don't know whether if that one cannot be relevant, that is why the presenter has skipped that important ISD model, ISD model. So that is one. And then secondly, I also want to make a contribution apart from this question.
No, please, the time is gone. We have spent 1 hour, 30 minutes. I will
Okay,
just,
sir.
maybe in 1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay, in 1 minute, I just want to say that people may also see in the literature not only augmented virtuality, virtual reality, augmented reality, but there is also called mixed reality. But sometimes people interchange augmented reality with mixed reality, because from the 3 basic characteristics or features of AR that Mr. Wale has presented, the first feature is clearly indicating that AR is a mixed reality. Thank you, Prof. I'm done.
Okay, thanks so much. Okay, so that's the last question we will allow. Please, Wale, answer those questions that we have so that we'll be able to.
Well, I didn't mention AITIE model because AITIE model is not typified as classroom oriented model.
Yes.
Now we are saying yes, it's products. No, so we are saying classroom oriented model, not design and development model. So that is my answer to that question. Then someone asked, looking at the immense capability of AR, VR, universities in Europe and Asia are beginning to adopt this into their curriculum. Looking at Nigeria and West African landscape, how quickly can we adopt this? Well, I think for us, this is the start. Number one, the awareness. Let us create awareness that there is something called augmented reality and virtual reality. So, and this is what we are starting now. So by the time we begin to create the awareness, now research thoughts will be going towards that area. And then experts from different fields, like the curriculum designer, instructional designer, they need to work hand in hand in order to help us achieve this. Please, when and where will the seminar hold? I think more information will come later on the AITIE website due to this COVID-19 issue. So we can't say when it's coming up for now.
It's already in Oyo, probably in November.
Oyo, yes. Okay, this is a personal. Can we pay for the using cash transfer? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Can you mention some available AR gadgets in Nigeria that we can access? Your smartphone, Android device, iOS device. iOS have their own augmented reality kit. They call it AR2 kit. So your Android phone is a very useful tool for it. And this wearable headset, you can get them on the average of 25,000, 30,000. They are all available. So can I use augmented reality to teach students practical aspects? Yes, you can actually do that, but it depends on your creativity and how you can do your programming and coding. Is it possible for someone who is not educational to use? Yes, you can. You can use augmented reality despite not being an educational technologist. As AR no limitation, of course, it has its own limitation. Cost, time for development, the learning curve for developer. These are limitations, and that is AR has been in town for a while now, but not much is being said about that because the developing an application costs a whole lot. And I think I have one of the participants there that can bear me witness. Aru Shekbe, that guy. So he's into augmented reality. You know how much it costs. So then can AR be used to teach vocational subjects? Yes, it can. How can we use AR to teach in primary school? Well, there is no hard and fast rule to it, sir. Like I said, the creativity of the teacher needs to come to play and what the teacher needs to teach. The example I asked for was a secondary school classroom experience, not a tertiary experience. I don't know. I don't understand that. That is from Mr. Muhyiddin Abiola. I don't understand your question. Someone said, I suppose your background is an example of AR. Am I right? Yes, computer generated graphics on my background. So we can use that as an analogy actually. And then this what's it called? This what's this social media application called now? That's when people snap it, put crowns on their head, those things. So these are analogy to describe augmented reality. Okay. Then how do we collect members of the okay? I think you can send a mail to the secretary on info@aitie.org.ng for those who want to collect their certificates, or call any of the number that was given day before yesterday. Okay, I think yes, the slide will be made available. I can tell you the slide will be made available in the next 1 hour. Slides for yesterday and day before yesterday's presentation are already online. You can log on to, please permit me to share my screen now. So let me just quickly share my screen and show you how you can get it from the AITIE website. So just scroll down, you have it on the home page. Don't go anywhere. So the lectures by Prof, the one of Mr. Aderoju and Dr. Olafari, they are all readily available on oh, sorry, are you seeing my screen?
No, it's
Okay.
not there. That's why.
Sorry.
Okay.
So just go to the website, the association website, and scroll down on the home page. You see them there. So the fourth one will join as soon as possible. Thank you. And then the last but not the least question, please, I have not been able to capture the information on payments for certificates. Okay, payments, okay. Yes, go to the website also, please. There are lots of information regarding the payments on the website. Now, when you get to the website, I think that's the first news. Just click on the news. You will see it there. Interested participants how you can apply, the form you have to fill to complete to apply. So that is okay. So I think that is
we
all.
Thanks so much, Mr. Wale Kolidafe. We appreciate the support of Professor Efebo, Professor Aremu, Dr. Beledo, Dr. Ogunlade, our colleagues from outside the country, people from Bauchi, from Gombe, from Sokoto. We really appreciate you. We believe we have done a little. We apologize for the problem we had yesterday. It was the network. Hopefully, we shall meet in Oyo. And like we promised, maybe yesterday, we are hoping to have another webinar for the month of May. Thanks so much for being part of our experience. Thanks so much for joining us during the 3 days when we had the webinars. And this is the end of our series of webinars for the month of April. We want to appreciate you. We thank you. We believe you will join us in subsequent ones. Thanks so much.